Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the channel. This is at Dissection and we're deconstructing and analyzing Manchester United embarrassing defeat against Bayern Munich. They go out of Europe with a whimper, without any fight. We're gonna go over the match with a fine-tooth comb and just analyze what happened and what Ten Hag got wrong in this match. Manchester United suffered their fourth loss in 6 matches in the group stage. That has never happened before. They've conceded 15 goals, most by any English side in the Champions League group stage, and we end up being bottom of the group. And the fact is, this position is thoroughly deserved. We were outplayed by Galatasaray, we were outplayed by Copenhagen, who go through with Bayern Munich. Even this match, Bayern Munich won it 1-0, but they could have scored like 4 or 5 goals in the first half. They weren't playing in the top gear, they were like in second or third gear, but they didn't need to. It was a training session for them. It was an embarrassing lack of effort from Manchester United, lack of ideas, clueless. If it smells like it, if it looks like it, then it is crap. And that is what Ten Hag's Manchester United is getting to a stage where it's even worse than Ole. Ole was top of his Champions League group and in a better position in the league when he got bounced from the club. And I think it's already been beyond the watershed that Ten Hag's position has become untenable. But it remains to be seen when the establishment, the Glazers, finally drop the hammer on Ten Hag. Bayern Munich, coming to statistics, had 60% of the ball. They were ambling literally all over the pitch. They were just too good for us. We didn't even compete. We didn't fight. We didn't put in any kind of tackles. There was no cohesion in the team, no coordinated response, no confidence. I think we lacked belief that we could score against them. We only mustered one shot on target, which was a 25-yarder from Luke Shaw in first half. And we never looked like scoring. But they didn't even play well. They didn't have to. They were never first. It was one of the easiest away fixtures that Bayern Munich have played in last few. I think they haven't lost a group stage match since 2017. I'm pretty sure that they haven't played an easier away fixture than what they did at Old Trafford today. Coming to play ratings, ONANA. I mean, he didn't have much to do, but the goal he conceded, I mean, it was an easy chance for Coman, but he certainly, ONANA did certainly make a clown of himself. He was diving all over the place. He didn't have any control of the situation. And when you look at the likes of David De Gea, who has deficiencies, especially in terms of distribution of the ball, but he has the kind of aura about him and that kind of calmness in those situations, those one-on-ones, that makes the striker or that opponent a little skeptical of his chances. But Onana doesn't do that. He's not imposing. And you always feel with Onana that he's not capable of keeping a clean sheet. He didn't have many shots to save all throughout the match, but his distribution was also sketchy. And certainly on the goal, he made a joke out of it. So yeah, a bad performance for Onana. Coming to defense, Diogo Dalot. I mean, what can I say? I mean, we know his limitations and he keeps on showing us every day, every match. He's just not good enough. He's not good enough to play in Champions League match as well. I mean, he's a championship player for me, especially in terms of consistency. He might have a good game or so in like 10 games, but he's always deficient in his defending. He's always, he lacks the calmness in the final third as well, and he's just not good enough to play for Manchester United and at the Champions League stage. Harry Maguire was decent till he got injured and was substituted for Johnny Evans. He was a regular Harry Maguire performance. I mean, he's been consistent for last 6 weeks, but with him, we know that we'll never have that high line and we'll never be able to press as a team with somebody who's that slow in a back line. So he didn't commit any kind of horrendous errors, but he wasn't exceptional as well. So he gets his usual score. Rafael Varane was brought back into the team with Eric Ten Hag claiming that he needed more good defenders. I mean, certainly you can do with good defenders even against the likes of Galatasaray, even against the likes of Copenhagen and Bournemouth, where you conceded 3 or more goals. And since Harry Maguire has got injured now, I'm sure that Rafael Varane would play on the weekend against Liverpool as well. The cynic in me would think that Ten Hag put him as a lamb to slaughter and just wanted to, he was preparing for a loss, so he just put him out there to just make him a scapegoat for that loss. But overall, he played decently, and considering that he hasn't played for a few weeks now, then he looked sharp and was good in possession as well. So a decent performance from Varane. Luke Shaw was embarrassing. I mean, he got one shot on target. That was his only input in the game. I mean, defensively, Coman had him on toast. I mean, every winger seems to have him on toast. He can't run back. He's just so fat and unfit to play in at this level. It's just embarrassing. I mean, he keeps on doing this every season. He plays for good 10 games or 7 games. The rest of the season for 30 odd matches, he just completely shambles. And it was another shambolic performance for Luke Shaw. Coming to midfield, and Sofian Amrabat, again a decent performance. Nothing spectacular. He lost a man a couple of times, but he was doing a job for 3 men in that midfield. I mean, he doesn't get any help from Scott McTominay or even Bruno, who dropped deeper after first half an hour. He wasn't exceptional with the ball, but defensively he was all right. He was neat and tidy on the ball, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't have that kind of creativity and vision to rake in those long balls. So it was a decent performance, and obviously he'll start on Sunday. I like to see him with Mino, and inshallah we'll see that against Liverpool. Scott McTominay was embarrassing. I mean, he can't control the ball. He can't play with football. He's supposed to be a footballer. Yes, he can thump it once in a while. He could, crack on a good shot, but he just can't control and pass. That's the job of a midfielder. He can't track his runner. He can't, execute a structural plan in a game. He doesn't have that footballing IQ. He doesn't have positional awareness, and he's embarrassment for the academy as well, and sadly for this Manchester United side. Anthony, I mean, he tried in the first half. He was decent. In the second half, he was non-existent. I mean, he didn't get the ball in the second half. Bayern was happy keeping the ball. They got a goal midway through the second half, but they had total control of the ball. Obviously, he would dropped a couple of times by Alphonso Davies, made a mockery of him, and he's a liability defensively. I think he does try, but he's just not good enough. I mean, he cannot physically compete with those marauding fullbacks. Attacking wise, he doesn't have a right foot, and everybody knows it. And he's such a big limitation in his game. I mean, he's not like Ian Robin, who can afford to be one-footed. He's just a mediocre championship level player. He doesn't belong at this stage or at this club. Bruno Fernandes was captain nowhere. He was the worst player on the pitch, the main culprit in terms of losing the ball. He was giving away Hollywood. People call it Hollywood, but it was nightmarish football from him. He kept on losing the ball without any pressure on him. The unforced error he commits, he makes us lose possession so many times. And one of the reasons we are conceding so many chances is Bruno. He cannot physically compete with his counterpart in midfield, and he gives away the ball so damn easily that it's impossible for us to recover every time. And he won't play on weekend at Anfield, which would be a blessing. It remains to be seen if we are able to, be more cohesive in midfield. On paper, we should be when he's not playing, but it remains to be seen. He's certainly no leader. He's certainly no captain. Another bad performance from Bruno Fernandes. Garnacho was out of his depth. I mean, you can clearly see technically he's not sound. He can't, care for the ball, especially creatively. He's just devoid of any ideas. He can only, push the ball past players and run. He can finish a chance if he gets one, but he's supposed to be a creator in this formation, and we are not getting any creativity from him or from Anthony. And the reason he is a sure shot in this team is only because he has industry with him. He does work hard and tracks his fullback, but overall his game is not good enough. And if we are to rely on 20-year-old like him, then we are truly in doldrums, and I cannot see anything out of him. I mean, if he was a substitute player coming on in late in the matches like he did against Arsenal, almost and did score, he was wrongly adjudged offside. But if he starts, he's just not good enough to start in this Manchester United team at this moment. Rasmus Højlund was more of a wrestler, more of a combat athlete than a football athlete. He just lacks polish. He doesn't have any control of the ball. His first touch is completely absent. he was ragdolled and manhandled by Kim and Upamecano, especially against Upamecano. He's not that much older than Hoyland. Obviously, Hoyland is still 20 and he will improve his game, but he needs more games just to get his game right and learn. But he's learning on the job, and that is not good enough. That is an indictment of the club. He is just like the manager, learning on the job, and such a big indictment at the club. Another bad performance from Hoyland. Coming to substitutions, obviously there was a first-time substitution for Harry Maguire. Johnny Evans came in. He did all right, no mistakes. Obviously, he is somebody that is gray in the air. I mean, he's 36-year-old. He's not gonna. He was never gonna get another club in the Premier League or in the Champions League. But obviously, United don't do the right things anyway. So he got a chance. He did all right, and I'm sure he'll start on the weekend. I think we could be put through the ringer on the weekend anyway. So we can't fault him for this. Certainly, this performance. It was a decent performance from Evans. Aaron Bissaka came on for Luke Shaw. Dalo moved into the left back position. Van Bissaka played on the right. Surprisingly, he was not good in one-on-one defending against Sane. I mean, he was hit and miss. Some tackles he did well, but sometimes he was like skinned by Leroy Sané, which is surprising. I haven't seen that kind of performance for him, but obviously he hasn't been playing regularly, and Ten Hag clearly prefers Dalo over him. He did all right, but attacking wise, he didn't get enough ball or action on the ball to produce any kind of output. He's not good in terms of delivering the final ball. He's good at dribbling and carrying the ball, but obviously as a fullback in this formation, you need to you know put in the end product, and he's not doing that. So obviously he definitely start on the weekend because he is a best defender, one-on-one defender. He was neither a good performance nor a bad performance from Lusaka. Hannibal came in for Garnacho. He played on the left hand side. He was industrious, full of effort, but obviously he doesn't have the quality. He was decent in possession. He didn't lose the ball often. Obviously, he's not a winger. I didn't have that much possession to be able to create any opportunities in the second half, so we can't judge him too much. But I have been surprised that he hasn't been given much chances in the last 6 weeks, even though he started a few matches before that. It remains to be seen whether Eric Ten Hag plays him in that number 10 position at Anfield. He has a history against Liverpool, especially at Anfield. He might be too volatile, impetuous. He's always, a car away from getting sent off. So he always gets a yellow card. So I'll be careful just bringing him from the start. He could get a red card easily in that match. But in this match, he was all right. Nothing spectacular. Palisti came in for Anthony in the second half. He didn't have the ball, just like Mabry. He didn't have enough time, enough possession on the ball to create or produce any kind of difference. It was an impossible situation for a youngster like Pellistri. At least Garnacho gets loads of minutes from the start, but Pellistri hasn't been starting. I'd start him on the weekend in place of Anthony just because he gives us natural width on the right hand side, and he's right-footed. I don't think Ten Hag will do that, and we can't. I can't sit here and blame Fakandu Pellistri when I know that he hasn't been given a fair crack of the whip. So an alright performance from Pellistri. Kobe Mino came on late in the second half. He was surprisingly good, a lot more energetic. There was a lot of alacrity in his game. He was nimble with his feet, good with turns, good with passing, long range passing. But he was too little, too late. He just came on to give more rest to other players. I certainly start him with Amrabat on the weekend. Just give them an opportunity to build a relationship, build a partnership in that double pivot. Ten Hag doesn't often play the double pivot. That's another quandary that I can't seem to solve in my head. Why does he do that? But if he does, then I think he could show on the weekend that we can at least compete with Liverpool in the midfield. Obviously, defensively and attacking wise, we are dominant. But with Amrabat and Kobe Manu, I think we can see some fledgling of a relationship, and inshallah, he starts on the weekend. Eric Ten Hag is the worst manager I've seen, even more than Moyes and the likes of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, just cause the amount of power he's been given, the amount of capital he's been given, and the output is. I mean, you look at the return over investment. The investment that has been put in his in his hype, in his whole entourage. The output, the outcome is dismal. The football is non-existent. I mean, we are even worse than Ole in terms of our patterns on the pitch. There is no structure to our game. I mean, the results have been carrying him for the last 18 months. The football hasn't improved. There is no perceptible change in his style of play. The worst thing is the way he comes across in his interviews and post-match conferences. I mean, even today he said that it was a good performance when we didn't even compete, let alone putting in a good performance. We couldn't even compete. We didn't have any belief. We had already given up. We just quit, even without trying. And that's a complete no-no. That is indefensible, and Ten Hag has to go just for the fact that there is no fight. There is no there is an acceptance for mediocre performance. There is an acceptance for incompetence, and that has to end both from the Glazers, from top down, but also Ten Hag. I mean, the kind of mistakes he's committing, kind of incapacities and incompetencies that he's showing. I mean, no matter what the structure is, no matter what kind of owners we have, he's just not good enough. He has proven to be not good enough, and he needs to get the axe. We seem to be on a crusade to break all our records in just one campaign. This is the worst performance by an English Premier League side in a Champions League, apart from a City thing, apart from a City campaign in 2011, which when City was just starting their revolution under Abu Dhabi. And the only reason it's not the worst is the fact that Onana saved one penalty late in injury time against Copenhagen at home. We lost 4 matches against the likes of Galatasaray, Copenhagen, and we finished bottom of the group, that we have never done. We have scored a few goals, but we've conceded 15. That has never happened against the English side, who are known for the defense. There are no more excuses for Ten Hag, and I think Liverpool should be his last game, but I don't have any confidence in the Glazers and the people above to make any kind of change right now. Maybe the hands would be forced if we get a hammering, which we deserve at the hands of Liverpool, who are table topping right now. They're top of the Premier League table. So it remains to be seen what happens on the weekend. Obviously, we don't have any hope. At least likes of Bruno are not there. Harry Maguire and both Luke Shaw, even though they look injured, the cynic in me says that they opted to dip out of this match because they know what's coming on the weekend, the hammering. And it's good that the youngsters will play. I mean, they're certainly less accustomed to failure and are less encapsulated by fear. So I think we should start with the likes of Mabry, Maino, Pelistri on the weekend. See that we at least compete on the pitch. Results right now it doesn't matter because we know that the gulf is too much against the likes of Liverpool. But at least we can show that we can compete with them, and go hammer and tong with them for a period of time in a game, and at least show up for the badge and fight a good fight. Inshallah, we'll be back with the Red Prep show for the Liverpool match and a trip to Anfield on the weekend. Please continue to share our videos, liking, commenting. We truly appreciate all your encouragement, appreciation. So until we meet again, take care, do good. Pray for all the oppressed people, Palestinian, Rohingyas, all over the world who are oppressed and downtrodden. Until then, Assalamu alaikum.